All rise, please, for the Pledge of Allegiance, and Kathy Rockwell will lead us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. God bless America. Roll call. Mayor Rowe,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Miller,
Present.
Councilman Racy,
Here.
Councilman Porter,
Present.
Councilman Webster,
Here.
Councilman Dowd.
Here.
All present.
Thank you.
Item 1, approve agenda.
Move to approve without exception.
Support.
It's been moved by Mayor Pro Tem Miller, supported by Councilman Webster. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mayor.
Yes.
you had
Oh,
something.
I'm sorry.
Something.
I still would like to change the wording on the past minutes from personnel to workplace.
That would come under the next item, the minutes
Approve
approval.
agenda.
Approve the minutes.
Okay, you're right, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, that's okay.
Item 2, city council meeting, minutes. 2A, regular meeting of August 21st.
Okay. Now, this is,
Now I would like to change the wording of the report. It states in the past minutes that it was personnel evaluation, and I would like it to go back to workplace evaluation. I know it sounds rather simple, but let's not change the meaning or change the wording at the last minute. Let's keep it like it was.
Do you need support for that, Mayor?
yes, I do.
I support.
Okay, I need a motion then to approve the minutes with the amendment
I would make the motion to approve the minutes
as amended.
as amended.
Is there
by Councilman
support?
Porter.
Support.
It's been moved by Mayor Pro Tem Miller, supported by Councilman Webster. Any further discussion or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 3, bid awards. 3A, approve the bid awards for the removal of fiber from the Building and Engineering Building, 4001 South Wayne Road, to be paid from the Community Development Miscellaneous Projects budget. Approval subject to a written contract acceptable to both the city and the vendor.
Move to approve.
Support. Second.
It's been moved by Councilman Webster, supported by Councilman Dowd. Any discussion? Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 4, ordinance and amendments. 4A, second reading of ordinance number 2018-06, the rezoning of the Senior Alliance 5454 South Vinoy Road, number 55-023-99-0002-000 from R1A Single Family Residential to PDD Planned Development District.
Wish of council?
Support.
It's been moved by Councilman Racy, supported by Councilman Webster. Any discussion or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
4B, second reading of ordinance number 2018-07, pilot program for Atwood Gardens.
Move to approve.
Support.
It's been moved by Councilman Webster, supported by Councilman Racy. Are there any questions? Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 5, appointments to boards, commissions, and committees. 5A, approve the appointment of Lois Van Stipdunk, 3088 Rivers Edge Drive North, to the Wayne Library Board to fill the unexpired term of Ed Marmon until February 2019.
Move to approve.
Support.
It's been moved by Mayor Pro Tem Miller, supported by Councilman Webster. Any discussion? Ms. Von Stimpdonk, would you care to rise? So we, this is Lois.
I just want to say thank you for stepping up. Thank you for stepping up and filling in an important position with the library. Sincerely appreciate it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 6, communications and reports. 6A, update of upcoming events from Wayne Senior Services.
Is Nancy here this evening?
No?
Okay.
Through the chair.
Yes.
Nancy was not able to make it this evening. She asked if I could just make a few announcements. She has an AARP free Android smartphone workshop, and that is going to be taking place, trying to read this here, I apologize. Morning and afternoon sessions will be offered on Thursday, September 6th. September 6th. Both sessions will cover Intro to Android and Beyond the Basics, and they are from 10 to 11:30 a.m. would be Beyond the Basics, and 12 to 1 would be the next session. And then Intro to Android is from 2:30 to 4 p.m., then Beyond the Basics, 4:30 to 5:30. To register, call AARP at 1-800-213-4587. Tai Chi classes. Obviously, this is a gentle form of exercise, can help maintain strength and flexibility. 10-week sessions begin offering on September 25th. Beginners, novice from 9 to 10:30, and advanced from 11 to 12. The fee is $65. And if you're interested, you can call the Wayne Senior Services at 734-721-7460. Cooking Matters, for those for those who have diabetes. The workshop is free. It starts on Wednesday, September 12th, from 6 to 8:30. You can register by visiting beaumont.org/classes events, or call 1-800-633-7377. And then a free one-stop health screening. Beaumont Community Health will be here on Tuesday, October 16th. That's a hype, from 11 to 30. For anyone 18 and older is welcome. Screening will include blood pressure, cholesterol, no fasting, glucose for diabetes. Screening is free and on a walk-in basis, and there's no appointments taken. And then Nancy just wanted me to remind everybody that the Diamond of Community recipient is Mrs. Pat Hartford. She'll be recognized at a dinner in her honor on Tuesday, September 18th at the Hype Recreation Center at 6 p.m. That's again Tuesday, September 18th at Hype at 6 p.m. Tickets are $15 and can be purchased at City Hall, Hype Recreation Center, or by making arrangements with Nancy at 734-721-7460. Following the dinner, Pat will also be recognized as the council meeting, as is tradition. That'll conclude Nancy's report, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions on that? Okay. Next item.
Item 6B, communication from the police chief regarding the donation of coloring books from the First United Methodist Church.
Could you read it, please, Kathy?
Oh, yes. Sorry about that. The City of Wayne Police Department received a donation of various coloring books and crayons from the congregation of the First United Methodist Church of Wayne. Many times an event disrupts a child's life, and providing them with tools such as these not only helps calm them, but provides a distraction from a troubling situation. In addition to the obvious benefit to children, partnerships between the Wayne Police and community organizations is what contributes to the success of the City of Wayne.
Thank you. Next item.
Okay, where did I go? Okay, hang on. I'll place here. 7, general items for consideration. 7A, accept the resignation of the city attorney, Brita O'Leary Brassfield, Fosson and Bond, LLP.
Wish of council?
Move to approve.
Support.
Are there any discussions or questions?
For the record, Mayor Rowe, I'm not accepting her resignation.
Okay, thank you. Question? Yes.
It's been stated many times that our city attorney, Miss Brassfield, works for Foss and Bond. And we are in the middle of a very important time here in Wayne with our hostile work environment investigation. I think that was a privileged document, and I think she was the one that recommended the law firm, lawyer, investigator, to continue that. Being that she works at the same law firm and has reiterated that, I think the city council, in moving forward in our time and dollars, should just refer it back to Foss and Bond, who would have direct knowledge of what's going on. I've yet to hear anybody motion from Mr. Gabriel, who was turned down on a motion for you to proceed forward with it. A lot of pages, a lot of court documents. It's my tax dollars at work. You still have not replied on how much you paid, how far you are on the investigation, and I feel it's in the best interest of the city of Wayne and our tax dollars that you maintain the credibility and move fast forward on the investigation. So refer it back to the law firm that she worked for, Foss and Bond. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? All in favor of accepting the resignation of Frida O'Leary Brassfield? Aye.
Aye.
No.
No. Passes 4-2.
Item 7B, approve the appointment of Gianmarco Mullins and Horton, Troy, Michigan, to provide legal services and to act as the city attorney on a temporary basis.
Good evening.
Good evening. John Clark on behalf of Gianmarco Mullins, senior partner with the firm for 24 years. With me is Mike Bosnick, another 20-something municipal attorney. I want to thank the Mayor Pro Tem Council for your consideration this evening. The city manager contacted me last week indicating if we would step in on a temporary basis to provide general municipal as well as prosecuting services. I've worked with the city manager on a project or two regarding your retiree health care. I, of course, accepted the challenge. That's what I do for a living. That's what we do for a living. I understand it could be for a month, 6 months, a year, who knows. I understand that there will be a rebid process, and we will certainly take part in that process if and when it happens. And I'm very confident that you will remain with us because I think we provide excellent service. I'm here to answer any questions about the firm myself. If anybody has anything.
Are there any questions?
Oh, by the way, I did have a meeting with the city manager and your outgoing lawyer last Thursday. It was provided with a summary of pending matters. We will reach out to the district court administrator to make sure things run smoothly for Thursday if we are fortunate enough to be approved this evening. So we're already into it. Obviously, nothing's been billed. This has been all gratis in the effort to hopefully get to a vote this evening where we are accepted.
Okay.
So I'd be happy to answer any questions anybody has.
Okay. Tonight, we have with us Judge Laura Mack and the court administrator, Linda Gable, and they would like to give us their viewpoint on moving forward. So, Judge?
Thank you, Mayor Rowe, Mayor Pro Tem Miller, and City Council and City Manager for this opportunity. We were dismayed when we received Brida's resignation, when we heard of it. I immediately wrote a letter to you all expressing that I would like, if possible, to have Brida continue on to do our prosecution. She's an excellent prosecutor. She expressed willingness to me to do that, to bifurcate the job between city attorney and prosecution. And this is not uncommon, I understand. The problem that the court has is there are a few issues that I think should be considered before we make the decision. And I'm just a little surprised and dismayed that I wasn't consulted about this. It's not my decision, I understand that. It's the city's decision, and I do respect what this council does tonight. However, there are a couple circumstances that have been beyond my control. We lost 3 people over the summer who quit without notice. We are struggling to train staff and to maintain the level of service that we are required to. by the State Court Administrative Office and by the people of Wayne. To train, to work with a new firm, of course, it can happen. It's not unsurmountable. However, it will take time to get to know each other, to get to understand how we do things back and forth. That's one of the considerations that I want taken into account. And Ms. O'Leary said she would stay on an interim basis until a new city attorney is found, or she would stay on indefinitely as prosecutor and have someone else fulfill the role of city attorney coming to council meetings, et cetera. My preference is that we keep Brita. She's a very good litigator. She lives in the community. She has ties to this community. I think that makes her a better prosecutor. Also, I know it hasn't been mentioned lately, but we do have a concurrent jurisdiction plan with Westland. There's legislation merging our court into the 18th District Court. And one of the main benefits in keeping the same prosecutor that they have in Westland is it enables us to do that in a much easier and more seamless manner. I know the idea of consolidation has kind of taken a back burner lately, but we are going to revive talks of that. The legislation requires that we submit resolutions by January 1st, 2019. So the legislation will expire again if resolutions are not made. We were kind of holding off because of Mayor Wild running for Congress, waiting to see how that played out. But I am going to renew my efforts to contact the judges in the Westland District Court to reopen discussions of the consolidation. I do think it's the best option for our court at this point, given the funding problems, the lack of personnel, and the difficulty with security. So, in addition, Linda wanted me to point out, and that's why she's here, is in case I get it wrong, there are a number of things that the court does as a service to the police department and to the prosecutor. We print police reports, accident reports, driving records, criminal history reports. We send out notices for trial. And if you explain exactly how it would impact us to have a new prosecutor.
Well, for one thing, a new prosecutor, our trial notices right now, we send them out. We have a standard set up, and we send it to the prosecutor. We send it to IB, and we're the middleman. I don't have the staff to do that. With the new prosecutor, it's just going to be harder to get to learn all the new people. They're going to have to learn all our stuff, so that's really where the difficulty comes in that part. Doing all that.
Also, there are things like Constitution Day coming up at Franklin. That's on September 17th, I believe. This is something that was really easy for us to do because we partner with the 18th District Court to do that. So we have the same prosecutor. So we don't have to bring in another prosecutor to prosecute Wayne's cases and a separate prosecutor to prosecute Westland's cases. We are neighboring communities. Sharing a prosecutor enables the court to combine dockets when necessary. And as I said before, enables us to continue with this concurrent jurisdiction plan, which was put together in 2014 as a way to make consolidation happen. If we don't consolidate, I'm going to terminate the concurrent jurisdiction plan. But the idea was, and I don't want to send the wrong message at this point, so, replacing Brita with a new prosecutor is sending the message to Westland that we're not interested and that we're not pursuing consolidation. And I just don't think, hanging on for a couple more months, allowing Brita to continue as prosecutor, at least until the legislation expires, just makes a whole lot of sense to me. But I'm looking at it from the court's perspective only. And I don't know if you've heard from the chief of police, because really the prosecutor really only interacts with the court and the police. Really doesn't have that much to do with the rest of the city. So I do appreciate the opportunity to come here tonight and have some input into this. This kind of took me by surprise. And I do want to point out that it was actually 15 years ago tonight that I stood in front of this council and asked for the council's endorsement of my bid to become the district judge in the city of Wayne. And the city council at that time unanimously approved my application. And that was enormously helpful to me. And I've been grateful to the city of Wayne and to the council. I've always had a good relationship with the city, unlike my predecessor, Carolyn, who butted heads several times with the city. We have really tried to work well with the city, and I think we have. So I don't want to jeopardize that, but I do want to, again, do what's best for the court. Anything to add to that?
No, just if there's any questions that we can answer while we're here.
Are there any questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
I don't think I printed it out. When we did our interviews in the past, when we had all the different attorneys here, you guys, or Linda, you did a sheet on all the different attorney firms. And from what I read, you said that you thought Gianmarco would be fine. Oh, it's right here. That's great.
Yes, but our first choice was Brita, if you remember.
But you felt that you could work with these guys?
Oh, yes, there's no question. Absolutely, you are correct. But again, we have the opportunity to keep Brita on, so I don't know why we wouldn't take that, at least in the interim, at least until our legislation merging our court with the 18th District Court expires. And then it will take another piece of legislation in order to enact any kind of consolidation. And I think that's a major consideration for the city, and it should be.
The other thing is personnel has changed in a year. The staff that I had a year ago is not the same staff that I've had today.
Okay. Yes, Mr.
Any
Amos.
questions?
If I'm not mistaken, she already resigned, and that was her choice. So for her to pick and choose what she wants to do or not do is out of the question, in my belief. And I believe the council already voted to accept her resignation. So I believe we need to move forward. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Amos.
Anything else?
Any other questions?
Could we ask, not for them, but for the law firm of Gianmarco,
Yes.
would that be suitable for you to only provide legal services for the city and not prosecution?
Well, I just based on the list of things that I got from Reba,
Brita.
yeah, Rita, excuse me. You know, you've got the Carnegie property, you've got the snow ordinances, the vacant property ordinance, Cadillac Apartments, the Oak Apartments. Those are all building safety blight issues. There's great intertwine. Government is already tough enough to keep the ball moving, and for purposes of efficiencies, it makes sense to have one firm do it. Mike and I are in constant communication regarding the prosecution issues, and so I think to have two separate firms, now I think the city would have 4 lawyers doing 4 different things. And I completely understand the judge's point of view. We've taken over accounts. We've had accounts taken over for us. Mostly we've gone the positive way. And yeah, there can be a week or two of issues, but it's nothing that we haven't done before. I think the judge and the court administrator would be very satisfied with the service that we provide. These are highly skilled attorneys. We know the situation. And I just think based on what the city's motivation is in terms of the building issues, blight issues, to have there be separation, I think would impede the ability to get those issues rectified. I was surprised when I got the list. You know, half the issues are those issues. So, you know, my personal opinion would be to go with one. I think just for efficiency's sake, that would be the way to go.
Mayor, may I ask the gentleman?
Yes.
You indicated that because of the dual process in, for example, the vacant property, we have somebody that is well informed about the current status of that vacant property. Would that not be a benefit in a compatibility with your additional resources of knowledge to provide both of those entities together to provide a much better product?
No, I'm very confident in our ability to write ordinances, to enforce ordinances, to work with the city manager, to work with council, to work with department heads. Like I said, I've been doing this a long time in
So
a
you're
lot of
saying-
different environments, and I'm very, very comfortable and confident that we can take on this challenge full board and provide excellent service all the way around.
So you're indicating to me that there would not be a period of catch-up time.
Well, there's always going to be a little of that. Based on this list that I received from the outgoing city attorney, this is not insurmountable. Certainly, we've walked into much more involved situations, much more tenuous, much more drastic and dire than certainly this situation. So,
Mayor O,
Yes.
and then I wanted to ask is, I think you indicated at least 5 different issues right there.
Yeah.
That's just scratching the surface of some of the other municipality issues we have
Sure.
facing us today. And then to top it off, the general prosecution ability that we have already in place that's not broken, okay? My concern is that, is it absolutely necessary during a period of temporary fulfillment to disrupt something that is not broken, and just to focus on what is broken and to move forward with that together with what we currently have of a stable knowledge base there, including
again, I think the
a
progress.
temporary basis?
I think the progress that has been made is better facilitated through one firm doing both services. That's just my personal
And I
opinion.
appreciate, I'm
It's my
here to
personal
listen.
opinion,
I'm here
because
to listen.
those
I'm
issues,
asking the
you know,
questions.
Labor, I can see labor, you could separate that out. They do their own thing. They deal with unions and contracts and grievances. Tax tribunal work, that's, again, kind of an island to itself. City attorney and prosecution work usually work hand in hand because there is overlap.
Because I'm getting the impression that the scales have changed, okay? We have much more issues on the municipality side of dealing with than we have before previously. So the scales certainly have changed of responsibility for our city attorney in general, which indicates to me that during this time, it would possibly be prudent that we have separate them to be able to accommodate the both of the sides of the system, okay?
Right.
That's what troubles me the most, is because we have abnormal high issues facing our municipality than we normally do. And to put that on one firm really concerns me of an overload, quite frankly. It's like putting 6 plugs in 2 outlets. We're going to have a blowout. We're going to lose something here.
We have 7 attorneys in our municipal group, all with general municipal experience, but each of us have our own specialties as well. So, like I said, I wouldn't have accepted the challenge. If the city manager called me, I would have said, I'm not interested. I accepted it. I think within about 10 minutes, I told her we would be ready for the challenge. And
If so, and I think you're a fine outfit and organization. Please don't misunderstand me.
not at all, no.
Please do not misunderstand me. I'm looking in the interest of what I'm facing with here today.
I understand.
But I would ask that if we decide to separate the two, would you still be willing to fill in on a temporary basis?
Sure.
I appreciate
But
that, sir.
I think, like I said, I think we would prefer to do both. I think that's the best
At least,
engagement for, again, this is a relationship here between our firm.
and we have options.
Right,
All options are on the table.
absolutely.
Mayor,
Yes,
we need a motion, right?
yes, we do.
I'm going to make,
Question, Mayor,
Madam
if I
Mayor,
can.
Yes.
is there
Make a
something
motion.
else that you wanted to add?
No.
Okay, thank you.
If I can just ask one
Wait,
question.
I'm sorry,
can I first make the motion? Can I make
we'll
a
wait for the motion. Okay.
a motion to approve the appointment of Gianmarco Mullins and Horton
For,
for the legal service and act as the city attorney on a temporary basis?
okay. Are you putting a timeline on there?
Just exactly what it's written. I mean, we have to do RFPs,
Right.
so, and, I mean, we still got to do that, so, until we,
I would say at least for 90 days.
You gotta speak up at the fans.
You have to speak up.
do we need a timeline, or?
I would prefer putting a timeline in, only because there's going to be a new council coming in November, and I don't want to saddle a new council with stuff that we have put forth now. I would rather wait and just say 90 days. I myself would rather see us separate the two and continue with Brita as the prosecuting attorney until December 1st, and have Gianmarco as the municipal attorney until December 1st.
Yeah,
That's what I would prefer.
I prefer to keep it the way I had it.
I
So,
would support Mayor Rowe's recommendation.
Well, we have a motion being made.
I'll support Councilman Racy's recommendation.
Pardon me?
What is the motion?
to go with the firm of Gianmarco Mullins and Horton of Troy, Michigan, to provide legal services and act as city attorney on a temporary basis. So it has been moved and supported. Okay, Councilman Dowd.
You clarified my question with December 1st, so.
I actually have two questions.
Certainly.
Actually, the first question is for Judge Mack. Do we know what the interest level is on Westland's part to merge with us?
Judge Ciccarelli, the chief judge, is for it. I've been told that Judge McConnell is not. But I'm not going to drop it at this point with the deadline approaching. I am going to, and the mayor was unwilling to do anything unless both judges were on board. But I have not heard directly from Judge McConnell that he is not for it. So it makes sense. It makes sense economically. From a judicial needs standpoint, it has always made sense. It's just our building is falling apart, and it doesn't have proper security. So I also promised the mayor when we were having budget problems that I would pursue consolidation. And up until that point, I wasn't really pursuing it, but I am now. And I do think it is the best thing for the city, and I think it's the best thing for the citizens of Wayne.
So, not to ask you to speak for the other judge, but do you have an idea of maybe why he's not for it? Is there a particular?
I've heard different things,
Okay.
so I don't know for sure. But I do intend to, now that the election is over and the primary is over, and Mayor Wild did not receive he didn't win the primary, so he's going to continue on as mayor, and I think he might be willing at this point to look at it in more depth. I think he was kind of pushing it off to the side while he was running for Congress. So I'm hopeful that the change in circumstances now will enable us to open up talks again. But we don't have a lot of time before the legislation expires.
Gotcha.
Anything else?
No, that's it. Thank you. I have one more. Actually, I have a
Yes.
question for the attorneys. So if I read everything correctly, we're going to have one person that's going to be our regular city attorney, but you're going to provide at least another regular person to do the city prosecution. correct?
Absolutely, yes.
So it's not going to be just one person doing everything.
No.
It's gonna be-
No, well, we have a dedicated prosecutor who will do nothing but handle the docket. And of course, obviously with vacation or something, there's fallback, but we'll have a person dedicated to handle the docket every Thursday morning, starting in 2 days, and if we're approved and going forward until this body decides to do something else.
Any other council questions?
There's-
Yes,
there's-
Mr. Amos?
Could we please back up, because people here in the audience, and particularly myself, I did not hear what Councilman John Racy had to say, or if he made a motion. I didn't hear what that was all about. Could you repeat that, please?
Yes, City
I
Clerk?
was going to ask you who the motion makers were.
Okay, it was Councilman Racy made the motion, and Councilman Webster supported it.
Okay, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
No further discussion? Okay. All in favor?
Okay, I'm sorry, go ahead.
All in favor?
Aye.
No.
Aye.
No. Okay, the motion carries. Welcome. Okay. And hopefully, it'll be a smooth transition for you. Is there something you'd like?
Oh, sorry, Mayor, I'm just going to have my top to them real quick. Just got some up.
Moving along, item 7C, approve the removal of the privileged and confidential status on the personnel evaluation performed by Dispute Resolution Services, PC.
Move to approve.
Support.
It's been moved and supported to remove the privilege and confidential status on the workplace evaluation performed by Dispute Resolution Services. Is there any questions or discussion?
Madam Mayor.
Yes.
I would like to include that this also will contain the follow-up sub-report of the investigation, and also if we could please indicate as to how this information would be provided to the general public.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions? Yes.
Do we
Councilman
need
Reyes-
it? Go ahead.
One, I would like us to be able to tell the public the price tonight. The public has asked the price, if we can give that out tonight. But I'm also concerned, I would have preferred to have the next attorney to be able to look at this. My concern is there any liability to the city? We promised people that we were doing an evaluation that was confidential, and I understand that somebody broke that confidence, but we haven't released it. And is there liability back on the city by us then releasing it? People can get it, we're out on the street, and that's up to them. But is there anything that can go back on us from a liability standpoint because us releasing that?
This evening before the council meeting, I asked to meet with Mr. Clark, and I met with him, and I asked him if he was aware of the report, and he said, yes, it was, and I said, yes, he was, and I said, did you have any concerns or questions? And he said, no, I do not.
So he's fine if we release it.
I didn't ask him that, I just asked him if he had any questions regarding the report. And since it is out there, I would rather have it out there in its entirety instead of pages that I understand were removed and such. This way, it'll be available. I will have it on a zip stick or a USB port stick, and I feel the most advantageous way to do this is to just put it on our city's website under the city clerk's area.
Yeah, okay. Because I've seen online that the report that we got is not the report that I've seen, this 105-page report. That was not a city report, and when it is released, people will see that somebody added things to the report that was not the report that we were given. I just want to make that statement.
Yes. Okay. Any further questions?
I have a quick question.
Yes.
So is this is not going to be a FOIA-able item? We're just going to,
No, it's going to be out there.
is that just a standard or?
Yes. I was told that we can do this by the attorneys, by both attorneys, by our former city attorney and by Mr. Harford.
Madam Mayor, there's
Yes.
questions in the audience.
Yes. Are there any other questions from council? No?
We're going to add the price of what this cost us, just as a general item.
I understand the bill was sent to Katie Sample?
I have the number.
Pardon me?
I have the number.
You do have the number?
Yeah, in case it was going to be.
Okay.
That was a question that was asked
Yes.
last meeting by
Yes.
Councilman Webster, so we were prepared.
Okay, all right.
That's all.
Okay, yes. Mr. Blackwell?
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Good evening.
We all know that, we seen the link that was out there and it was made public about the hostile work environment. Then I seen the 33 pages or whatever it was. Then I seen the Eagle or Journal article which reported 105 pages. So what are we to believe? Is there just one investigator's report? Is there more than one? How many total? And is everything, because ultimately we, the taxpayers, paid for this, is everything going to
You
be?
are going to receive exactly what we received at that closed meeting on that Tuesday night. I don't know the exact number of pages. I didn't count them. I just read them. I didn't count numbers. But what I have is the report that we were given. 105 pages. I have no idea where they got that from.
And
That's not my concern.
and it
I will
wa-
put out there what we have received.
And it wasn't my intention to imply that's what was just reported in the Eagle or the Journal.
Well, you can't believe
But I was
everything
ju-
in the newspaper.
Right, it's just, yeah, I understand that, but I just want to make sure everything that counts was given, we're going to be given.
Yes.
So it will eliminate any,
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
Thank you, appreciate
You
it.
paid for it. You'll get it.
Evening, Mayor, Council. My
Good
name's
evening.
Warren Amos. Just to clarify, you said you're going to release it on this
I'm not going
stick
to.
or
I am going to have the stick, and I
put
will give it
on the
to
city's website?
Yes.
Is that also going to include the price, ma'am?
the price we can give you tonight.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Okay? Thank you. Any other questions? Okay. It's been moved and supported. All in favor of releasing the report and waiving the privilege and confidential status, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
No.
Roll call. Roll call.
It's 4-2. It passed 4-2. The dissenting votes were
Said no.
Councilman Racy and Councilman Dowd.
Thank you.
Okay, next item.
7D, approve lot split number 2018-03 for parcel number 55-01001-0278-301 at 39115 Maple Avenue for the division of a portion of the lot for the ground effects development project.
Move to approve.
Support.
It's been moved by Mayor Pro Tem Miller and supported by Councilman Webster. Are there any questions or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 7E, approve a letter of agreement with the Wayne Professional Firefighters Association, Local 1620, that will designate a newly hired firefighter, EMT/B, as a provisional employee.
Move to approve.
Support.
It's been moved by Councilman Webster, supported by, I believe, Councilman Racy.
You can give it to her.
Councilman Porter. If the city manager could briefly explain this?
Mayor, may I call Captain Andy Stager up from the fire department?
Certainly.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, members of
evening.
council. Andy Stager, President, Local 1620. So basically what this agreement does is we are in foreign territory. 22 years I've been a fireman here. We've never had an issue with the retention, recruitment of employees. In our contract, it says we have to have paramedics to be employed at the fire department. Paramedics are hard to come by. We're not getting paramedics to apply. In the last over a year or so, we've had 8 paramedics leave our department. We need manpower. We have 3 vacant positions right now. The SAFER grant can fill these positions. They're going to pay for them. We don't have people. So we're trying something different. We're going to hire some ENT basics. They're medically trained, but they don't have the training to bring the emergency room to your house. For instance, do the medications, defibrillation, stuff like that. So this letter is allowing us to hire EMT basics that are in school to become paramedics. This agreement sets guidelines and benchmarks so that we can get these basics in, get them on the road, help them reach their paramedic level, so then we can start them as a probationary firefighter and train them to be firefighters. We've been fortunate over the years to have guys come with their paramedic license and already had step 1 when they're walking in the door. Today they're not even at step 1, so we have to help them get to step 1 and then move forward from there. Another way that we're just trying to help out by getting manpower at our station. So,
My one question for you is, since they're coming in not trained as paramedics, will their salary starting rate be lower?
because they are SAFER grant positions, and when we applied for the SAFER grant, they have to have the salary that we put when we applied for the SAFER grant. So it'll be the same starting salary as other firefighters.
Okay, will we be able to put in that hiring practice, because they are going to be getting paid the same amount that those that already have their paramedic certifications? Can we put anything in there that once they get that certification, that they have to stay with us for a period of time?
I would love for the city to guarantee jobs for however long the city wants to, but
I mean,
don't-
because we're known as a training city in
Right.
both fire and police, and
Fortunately,
I would
yeah.
like to see at least some stability there if possible, since
Sure.
we're giving them this opportunity.
Mayor, we've looked at that, if I may, through the money that we've been trying to utilize for training for the police department. Our labor attorneys have said, no, you cannot force them to stay.
Okay.
It's unfortunate. That would be ideal, especially for providing training dollars and things like that, and providing these opportunities, but we cannot.
Okay.
With this agreement, they actually have to be in a paramedic school, so they can be enrolled in a paramedic school. So they're on their way to paramedic. We're just going to support them by working with them, training with them while they're in this,
Okay.
in the schooling.
All right, and then this will mean when they are scheduled to be working and they're in school, we'll be paying overtime then to fill that spot.
Depending on the manpower in the day. We do
Okay.
have to give them training leave so that they can go to school, but it all depends on the manpower and the day.
Okay, If we could keep an eye on that, I would appreciate it.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
Also, like down the road, find out is our drop-off dates of some of these safer grants that we are currently supporting the fire department, parachuting the fire department force. When do these safer grants expire down the road? I'd like to find out.
I believe,
You want me to answer that?
yes.
When the money runs out, and right now, we just got an extension, I think for 8 months is what we were working on, but it's
That
when the
short
money
period
runs
that
out.
it's out like,
You get one extension, and then if we don't have it cleared out by that time period, the money goes back to the feds.
That's why it's important that we
That
get
we
the
spend it.
manpower, we get the guys hired, we get them on
So
the
we take
road
it
so
back.
that we can use that money.
yeah.
Okay.
All right,
Yeah.
appreciate the,
Okay.
Any
Any other
questions?
questions? Okay, it's been moved by Councilman Webster.
Question.
Yes. Thank you.
Hi, I'm just curious if a call comes in where somebody needs a defib and.
Pardon me?
If a call comes in where somebody needs a defib and the new guys are working who haven't been trained on that yet, what happens?
Actually, it's EMT basics, they've all been trained on defibrillator. We do not have a basic that runs on a truck by himself, he's always with a paramedic. So there will be at least one paramedic that will show up.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
with this, we've changed our response model a little bit to make sure that we do have paramedics on all our runs.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Captain.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilman Webster, supported by Councilman Porter. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Andy.
Added item 7F, accept the resignation of Councilman Ryan Gabriel.
Move to
The
approve.
resignation was at your place when you sat down. Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Support.
It's been moved by Councilman Webster, supported by Councilman Racy, to accept the resignation of Councilman Ryan Gabriel, effective immediately. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
no.
Please. Okay. And would the clerk make sure that you use the timer?
Yes. Administration reports, citizen comments or requests on items not on the agenda.
Kathy, that's two different things.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. Through the chair?
Yes,
All right,
please.
just a few items from the last meeting, and I may have to, I'm going to call Mike up on a couple of these items as well. Carnegie Street, I know that, I just talked to Councilman Dowd just earlier, and we were waiting, and I see there's a lot of the folks from Carnegie Street here. With our attorney resigning, it set us back a bit. However, we're not going to hold off on this. It does not need council support to move to probate. So this is a priority for us. Now that we have our attorney on board, we've already discussed it. We're going to move to the probate side of this. That's the best way to resolve this issue for you. Okay? Okay. Judy, you had, Judy is not here. If you could pass the message along to her. Ed did reach out to the trash company, and they are going to adjust the times. I know she was very concerned about that early pickup. Mr. Blackwell, you asked if staff were at the special meeting on their own time, or were they paid? They were there on their own time. I would like Mike, if I may, Mayor, come up and have him talk quickly about the question Mr. Claremont had at the last meeting about Parks and Trails. I'm sorry. I apologize, the Peace Memorial and Michigan Avenue demolition site. And then Mr. Claremont, as you know, the Parks and Trails Committee is meeting on September 13th at 6 PM here at the City Hall. So that meeting is all set. Okay, Mike?
Madam Mayor, members of the council, regarding Peace Memorial, there's not much more of an update yet. We're still waiting to get to the fall season, so we have an opportunity to put together a design for a structure over the fountain in the fall. Once we have that in-house design, we will present that to the volunteer committee that has been meeting regarding the Peace Memorial, to have them look it over and give us their thoughts. The other issue is the Michigan Avenue demo. That building has been demolished at 35132 Michigan Avenue. We are trying to get consensus on the best way to handle the common wall. That is in litigation, but we are trying to work through that matter right now with the attorney that we have in place.
We have only the one lawsuit case right now with Mr. Reddy.
Eggers.
Mr. Eggers is the gentleman that
Or
owns
Eggers,
the
I'm sorry.
building to
Eggers.
the east of us. And we are trying to clear that matter up with him and the contractor.
Okay, and that's the only one, though?
That's correct at the moment, that's right.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, if I may add one more thing. The
Yes.
city clerk did remind me, and this is why we're using Peace Memorial, all the documentation regarding that we've been calling the Veterans Memorial, it's actually the Peace Memorial. It is not a Veterans Memorial. So I just want to make that clear that we'll be referring to it as the Peace Memorial, as it has been documented as
Okay.
such.
All right,
Okay,
thank you very
thank you.
much. Mhm.
Yes.
Thank you. Yes, yes, Mr. Blackwell.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I raised the issue at the last council meeting. I feel that it falls under the administrative report. I raised the issue about the repayment of the health care stipend from an employee who was hired according to the confidential report. And I want to know, was that money, or was the money paid back, or is it being paid back? And I will allow the city manager to answer that, have an answer at the next council meeting. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Mr. Amos?
Madam Mayor, City Council, I believe a couple of council meetings ago, I spoke about the Peace Memorial and requested that the name be changed to a Veterans Memorial so that we could seek funds from other organizations such as the VA and different things, because they will not donate to a Peace Memorial.
Okay, all right.
So I wish you people would take that under consideration so we can get better funding instead of having a chicken roof over a memorial.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor, I got one question.
Yes,
Is the city manager going to give us the price of the investigation and the
Yes.
report, or is that going to be
Yeah,
somewhere
so
else?
Give me
Yes.
direction. I can do that.
that was part of your report, yeah.
Okay,
good,
if
yes.
you'd like. The total cost for the investigation, 181.9 hours, at $250 an hour, was $45,475. That does not include the amount that Fausone Bond had spent on this as well.
And that she had already sent all the members of council.
Correct, correct.
So that figure will go up?
Yes.
No, it was the very minimal amount. We can share that information with you as well if you'd like. Okay. Is that all?
Yes, ma'am. That'll conclude my report.
Okay.
Let's do citizens' comments.
I'm sorry? No, this was administration reports.
We sort of mixed them up.
I'm sorry? Move the agenda.
Citizen comments or requests on items not on the agenda.
Okay. Mrs. Pride? Mrs. Pride?
I was at the recycling, and I know that with the holidays and everything, everything was put back, but that's okay. I need to know, I've been putting faithfully my styrofoam items in the recycling. And I'm wondering if they do get recycled or if they go to the landfill. Because I noticed on Facebook that they have a separate entity that is collecting styrofoam so that it is recycled.
Okay.
And I asked the gentleman that was carting away the container, but like all workers, they only know what they do.
Okay.
They don't know I said, do you recycle this or do you just put it over the landfill?
Okay.
And he didn't know.
Okay. If you could have a report on what can be in our recycling and what can't be, and what happens if you mix them. That's important. If we're throwing stuff into the recycling that can't be recycled, I understand that something else happens down the way. And so we will have a report for the next council meeting from Mr. Queen,
And the
okay?
other thing is I don't know, not everybody who works is here because they have family to take care of. But when we moved it from the one site to your DPW site, that pretty much removed any of the, what I call workers' recycling, unless they have a loved one that stays at home. And I know that you feel that because we have less of garbage or recycling, it's less expensive for the city, but it's not in the long run for our grandchildren.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Amos.
Once again, good evening, Mayor, City Council.
Good evening.
I am the supervisor of the crossing guards for the school system here in Wayne. We are presently seeking a full-time person. We desperately need one full-time person to fill a position, and it requires a half hour in the morning and a half an hour in the afternoon. If you're interested, please contact Lieutenant Strong at the police department. I would also request that, I don't know whose job in particular it is, whether it has to go through the police department or not, but our crossing guards deserve better protection from the parents that decide that they want to text message or use their cell phones as they're driving their students to school in the mornings and afternoons, pickups. They fail to stop at the stop signs. In the one particular crossing guard station at Annapolis and Gloria, they come off of Merriman Road doing 30 mile an hour, and by the time they get to the stop sign, they're at 50 mile an hour. It's all we can do to get out of their way in some cases. Last year, at that intersection, we had 2 near misses. Both of them were me, and I don't appreciate it one bit, let alone the chance that one of the students possibly may have been hit. I had to shove a young lady out of the way to keep her from getting hit. I think that we could invest in repainting the lines, re-educating the parents at the school level about, bringing your children to school, and possibly putting up more signs to make parents aware that there is a crossing area there. We have 2 signs on Glenwood. We have one at Annapolis and 4th Street. It's prior to Highlight Party Store, so it really don't accent that there is one right there at Highlight, and there are none at Taft School or at Gloria and Annapolis. So I would appreciate all the help we can get from the police department on keeping our students safe and the crossing guards. Thank you.
Thank you. If the city manager could possibly have the police department and Ed Queen work together, because I know Mr. Queen had stated that some of the monies that they have are going to be used for markings and painting new lines and such, so maybe they could focus on updating crosswalk areas first, and also for at St. Joseph's School, it might not hurt, okay? All right, thank you. Is that all? Oh, yes, sir.
Good evening to our Honorable Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, members of the Wayne City Council, and residents of the City of Wayne. My name is Dan Henderson. I live at 4307 3rd Street, City of Wayne. I stand before you tonight as a member or a resident of the City of Wayne and as a member of the Michigan Widow Sons. I'm here on behalf of the Widow Sons to offer our help to bring charity to the less fortunate living in and around the City of Wayne. What we, the Widow Sons of Michigan, are proposing is to build and install a type of donation box for people to use in time of need. We call it a blessing box. What it is an easily accessible box placed in the Wayne City Hall complex that is filled with everyday essentials, whether it be baby food, diapers, a cup of soup, or other essential items. The motto for the box is, take what you need and leave what you can, in hopes that it will be self-sufficient. In the event of an emergency or even just a string of bad luck, it would give residents who have no means for these essential items at that time a helping hand and possibly a little bit of hope. We're hoping to be able to place the box within the Wayne City Hall complex or other Wayne City properties to prevent vandalism and to show people that the Wayne Police Department and the City of Wayne residents are there when people are in need. We, the Widow Sons of Michigan, will build an aesthetically pleasing box, install it on our own time, and fill it initially as a donation to this great city. We ask for this opportunity for us to give back to this community and hopefully to help those in their time of need.
Okay.
And
Mr.
my
Henderson
proposal-
had shown some photos. I don't know if you'd like to pass it around to
would,
other
I would.
members of council. And then also, he had stated that they had just placed such a box in Melvindale between their fire department and their police station.
That is correct, and we have representatives of the Widow Sons living in the downriver area that check very regularly to make sure things are going as planned, and reports have been that, just as we intended, it is self-sufficient more and more. We've had a lot of positive feedback on social media. We've had, as you can see, there is a photograph of the newspaper article, but it's a bit hard to read. But it did indeed happen. This idea came about as we were traveling out of state. We were riding in a group through Pennsylvania, and we came across one of the refueling stops that we made that had a similar box like that. And we couldn't believe it. You know, we couldn't believe that something like this wasn't already here. So we said then and there that this was something that we wanted to bring to Michigan.
Did you see it? Okay, well, could we keep this?
Absolutely. I have my contact information on the front of the folder.
Okay.
Yeah, any questions or
Okay, what we can do is provide this to the city manager, and then she can look at the legal ramifications, and such that always incur with things like this, and talk to our building department and various department heads to see if this is at all feasible to put up. Okay?
Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And just for an example of an idea of a place to put it, the south sidewalk where it meets the south sidewalk where it meets the east sidewalk in front of the city hall, just on the other side of the after hours drop box, there's a corner that seems to be really vacant of anything but nice trimmed grass, so
Okay.
that might be a great place to put it, and it also looks like it's probably in proximity to the camera that's installed on the outside of the building.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Mr. Henderson, appreciate
Thank
it.
you. Thank you, Madam Mayor and City Council.
Thank you. Is there anyone, yes?
Hi, I'm Phil Wagner. I live on Laurenwood. If memory serves me correctly, at the last council meeting, a councilman asked for an agenda item. It was just a discussion of putting a investigation of council itself under 7.9 of the city charter, and I saw that just wasn't even on the agenda tonight. I'm wondering, where that went.
City manager? Yeah.
Thank you for the question. Because we didn't have a city attorney in place and because the charter is sometimes very vague, as we've all learned, we wanted to make sure that there was an attorney in place. And I asked the individual who did, Councilman Racy, if he would be okay to move that to the next agenda when we have an attorney in place, and he had agreed. Councilman Racy, correct?
Yes.
So that's where it's at, Phil.
Sounds good, thanks.
Okay, you're welcome.
You're welcome. Yes.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. My name is Robert Borgi. I live in the city of Wayne. I have some good news for the citizens of Wayne that don't go to social media for their news. Last week, on August 28, 2018, the Honorable Robert J. Colombo Jr. Circuit Court Judge ordered as follows. The Wayne County Clerk must immediately remove Christopher J. Sanders from the ballot as a candidate for mayor in the city of Wayne, Michigan in November 2018 general election for the reasons stated in open court on the record. This is a final order and resolves the last pending claim. Mr. Sanders had violated Michigan election laws by being behind on filing fees and fines in excess of $4,000. After others had failed to file a complaint with Wayne County Clerk, I chose to hold Mr. Sanders accountable that rules and regulations apply to him. Telling my lawyer to file a complaint with Wayne County Clerk, he started to secure documents from both the county and the city through FOIA requests. The document we received from the city was the affidavit of identity and receipt of filing form. To me, there was a couple of problems on this form. One was very obvious. In section 4 of the form, Mr. Sanders hand-wrote no and then added his initials. By signing this form, knowing he was behind on fines and fees, Mr. Sanders was committing perjury. By handwriting no on the form, he was in fact altering a legal document. In his mind, by handwriting no on the form, clears him of any wrongdoing. The judge felt differently and had Wayne County Clerk remove Mr. Sanders from the ballot. Mr. Sanders passed. He was arrested for several charges in 2006. In June of 2007, he pleaded guilty to a felony of driver's license forgery and also a misdemeanor charge of supplying alcohol to a minor. He received credit for 13 days served in jail. He spent 6 months on a tether and then placed on probation. In 2018, Mr. Sanders was removed from the ballot because he chose to alter a legal document. Not much has changed in 12 years with Mr. Sanders.
Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Alan Bernard, Carnegie Street. It's been about 360 hours since the last time I was here. Since then, my child has been made fun of for being autistic, for not being verbal, for making grunt sounds when he talks. I can communicate with him. I've been with him forever. I know what he wants. From the house that we're having the problems with. I apologized already. I called up councilmen. I was hot. I was beyond belief. Just, if I could have gotten my hands on him, this would be totally different. I'd be looking at you from behind a jail cell.
Mm-hmm.
I understand, and I put all that in check. It's hate speech, not a hate crime. But anytime somebody goes after a child who cannot defend themselves, I'm sorry, that's unexcusable. The second thing is Friday, during the big storm, right as it was trailing off, Bear comes out, I come out. We clean out the sewers to get all the leaves and stuff out. My dog came out with me. I have a service animal, golden retriever, and I've got a health and comfort dog, which is a German Shepherd mix. Both of them very well trained. Both of them don't leave my property. They come, whatever. The gentleman in the house decided he was going to come out and lose his mind and start screaming about shooting the dogs in the neighborhood. First my dogs, then his dogs, then him, then me, then F all the neighbors in the neighborhood. I'll shoot them too. When the police finally show up, okay, and you figure you're going to get some relief, do they look for a handgun? No. Do they look anywhere on the property? Do they talk to this guy for any of this stuff? No. They come over and tell me, if my dog comes out, please put it on a leash out in the front yard. That's fine, I understand that. Okay, I was trying to do the block a favor by cleaning out the sewer. My dog's with me. When he started throwing a shit fit, I'm sorry,
That's okay.
in his front yard, my autistic boy opened up the door, letting the second dog out to find out what the noise and commotion was for. When he was done, and we finally got in the house, he had a 75-minute meltdown. If you have never experienced a meltdown with a special needs child, you do not know what you're missing. All right? My time's up, and this can go on for hours, but something needs to be done before somebody gets carried away in a box.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay? He pops a hole in my dog or shoots at me, it's done.
Anyone else? No? Yes, Mr. Clearman.
I heard from Brita that we're going to have an update on Cadillac this week. I know she's no longer here. I was wondering if maybe the new firm could speak to that next session. With the resignation of the councilman, we're less than 60 days out from the new election, well, roughly 60 days from it. Are we going to be backfilling that, or can we just stay with 6 people? I'm not sure if anybody has any plan one way or the other on that yet. And lastly, with the Park and Rec meeting next week, the email I received said most people will be attending. How many is most? I'm not asking for names, number. All right, thank you.
Okay. Yes, Mr. Blackwell.
Thank you. I feel like I'm in the House of Parliament up and down. First of all, I want to say welcome back, Mr. Porter. Mayor,
Yes.
with Carrie Venus being on a leave, and I know she's the FOIA agent for the City of Wayne for the Freedom of Information Act request, who is going to be in charge? The city manager? Okay,
Yes.
no, I'm talking
Yes.
to you, so I'm.
Yes. Thank
Is
you.
the city manager qualified? I mean, is there, how do I say this? Is there, pursuant to law, is the city manager able to take care of because I don't know if the FOIA agent had training or whatever. I'm just curious. I'm just wondering. Another thing, I want to know if the jet engine, which is located behind our building on Howe Road, right now known as Hype, has that been fixed? Because I've got a copy of the contract. It's 44 pages. They are responsible for our property. You still drive by there, and it sounds, it's bad enough for, we got Metro Airport, okay, but when you drive around there, it still sounds like a jet engine. And several council meetings ago, I asked about when was the last time council looked at the financial records of Hype Athletics to make sure they are still holding their not-for-profit status, and that's within the contract that they signed with the city.
Okay.
So thank you.
If the city manager could look into the Hype questions, and which I'm sure you always do, and then also if we could have the interim city attorney give us an answer regarding the FOIA, if there is any special.
No, there isn't. I've been trained.
Okay, all right, okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, anyone else? Yes? Mr. Osborne.
Who said that?
Pardon me?
Osborne. In regards to what was just said about the FOIA request and who the administrator is, I just wish that you, as a board, council, that you know who you are and what part you played in this hostile work environment, or what seems to be created in there, and that behooves you, whoever you are, to recuse yourself from any part of these investigations. We have the lawyer here. Myself, I could point to probably about 8 pages, and it refers to the city manager. And I don't think it is in the best interest of the city of Wayne to have that individual reviewing FOIA requests. It's only through non-transparency of this city that we have to go through FOIA requests to gain information of what is going on behind the scenes. I appreciate what you said tonight, that you will release it, the document of what we asked 2-3 weeks ago, to the public. And rather than get a rush on time and say we're low on help, we know you're low on help. When you get that report together, it's a suggestion. Put it together, package it, and have it for sale up there for $5 a copy, because we need it. We need the money, pay the package, and get it on here. We can get some volunteers, but we don't need people who are part of this report specifically that was addressed to you to take action. And that man is not here tonight, of which you didn't want to take his action, he's not here tonight, yet a couple of people here are mentioned drastically in that report. So take it upon yourself to recuse yourself, not only in that, but any other obligation.
Okay, thank you.
Read.
And, thank you.
You're most welcome. Have a good evening.
You too, sir. Anyone else? Move the agenda.
One more.
9.
Wait, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, sir.
I know you didn't catch me standing up. Name is Bear Shelby from Carnegie Street. Good evening, folks.
Good evening.
Had to just sit there for a little while and get my composure back because this thing on Carnegie is really, really out of control and upsetting. Al mentioned that there was threats of gunfire, shooting dogs, myself, my neighbors, and all the other neighbors on the street. This is getting really bad. I'm not sure if I actually saw a gun. I saw something, and I just wanted to make that point. When I saw the policeman there, it was a case of, I was, how to put this? I'm standing there eating an oversized ice cream cone that's melting in my hand, and I couldn't get my point across, and I didn't want to say something that wasn't true to him. It could have been anything that this guy had in his hands, but the fact that he actually threatened us, seriously threatened us, it bothers me. There's little kids at that house as well as in the neighborhood. And I think I saw neighbors at least 9 different houses standing out on their porch.
Okay. Okay.
Didn't hear that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, it did take a while. And, this is something that Al and myself do every time it rains. We're standing at that corner. The dogs are playing in the water. And this argument started with them over something I said to him. He was walking away with his back to me, and I said, "Really, say that again, please." Next thing I know, we're in a full-fledged, out-and-out, almost knockdown, drag-out fight. Well, of course, it was from a distance, but still. It's just, when you mentioned something about Carnegie Street earlier, you left us all out wondering, okay, what's the time limit on this and where were you going? I know things take time, really take time, but it only takes that long for a bullet to travel across the yard and hit somebody. All right, folks?
Okay. Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Anyone else? Move the agenda. Move the agenda.
Item 9, items for next agenda.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I'd like to ask that we get an update on the WABC building, please. And also, I'd like to make a suggestion that was indicated from one of the residents that we do provide the special hostile investigation report online as well as in paper form at a small fee, reasonable fee for those that would prefer to have a physical copy of it, if we could, at the clerk's desk.
Is that on the agenda? You write that down? Okay. Anything else?
Yeah.
Yes.
Could we inquire into how hard it would be to change the name from Peace Memorial to a Veterans Memorial? What, are there any legal ramifications on that? And also, since we are going to finally get the Parks and Trails Committee up and running, I would like to see a liaison from the city council be named so that we get direct feedback on that. So I'd like that on the next agenda, please.
Certainly. Thank you. If there is a member of council that is interested in being that liaison, if you could please let me know. I'd appreciate it. Anything else? Okay, move the agenda.
Comments from members of the city council.
Okay, we'll start with Councilman Dowd.
Oh, I actually have one tonight. I did my research. I noticed in some of the social media calendars for some of the locations and venues, and I noticed that Knights of Columbus has a September 22nd celebrity tribute variety show coming up, and they're at the council down there on Wayne Road. So just wanted to point that one out.
Okay. Thank you. And welcome again to Mr. Porter, Councilman Porter. We're
Thank you.
glad to
I'm
see
not
you.
sure I'm happy to be here.
Oh, please.
I don't have anything tonight. I'm just going to let it go at that.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Webster?
Just one thing tonight, just remind everybody that school is back in full swing. So just please stop for the buses. I know sometimes people are running late, but those kids need to get out and get safe. Kind of what Vern was up here saying tonight. You know, we have crossing guards out. We have kids walking to school. We have kids crossing the street. They would like to make it home. Their parents would like them to make it home. So please just be cautious out there. Be looking for them because they're walking both early in the morning and in the afternoon. That's it.
Thank you. Councilman Racy?
Thank you, Mayor. A few things. Want to just thank everybody for coming out to the concerts this summer, and to all the sponsors, especially Mark Chevrolet and Beaumont Hospital, and everybody that participated in making those happen. It doesn't happen without a community, and it was a great time for everybody, and I greatly appreciate it personally. Also want to thank Cross Point Church and Hype. Last weekend they had, or I think it's 2 weeks ago now, they had their Family Fun Fest events, and those were great and well attended, and always a good time for the community. I also want to tell the Carnegie people, I know we're working on this. I know it's not fast enough for you guys, but I guarantee you our administration's doing the best they can at the moment, and this will get rectified. It is a top priority, and this is not acceptable behavior for any of our residents, and this will be fixed. Then the last thing I wanted to say, and I would have emailed it, but I was concerned about this to send it an email, and I'm going to want to direct something to the city manager to look into this for us. I sent an email to the city manager and the council last week, and I got a kickback response from one of our staff members off of our city council only website, or where you just put city council at cityofwayne.com, and I got a kickback message from one of our workers off of that. At the same time, I got my message to that thing. Are there staff members that are getting our city council emails? We need to find out about that, because it's a problem if it is. I was very not happy. And are there other people? How many people is this happening? Because I can show you. I've got proof that it happened, and that's not acceptable. When we send stuff to council, it should only go to the council. Thank you.
Okay. Mayor Pro Tem Miller?
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to shout out to Puffer Reds. They and Main Street partnered, like so many other local businesses in our downtown, partnered event. It was the Culture Fashion event. And it was a great exercise of seeing all the possibilities that Derby Alley has in our community. Also, I want to shout out to the 6th annual Scarecrow Contest that is coming up here for September 29th and to the November 3rd. And also, I want to comment on, piggyback on Councilman Jeremiah here about school. Not only is it important about being aware of your surroundings, but it's also important of what your kids are wearing. Because, you know, with the time going to be changing here and back to school, getting used to the fact that there's people out there at 6 a.m. in the morning or after dark, and drivers and others will not immediately see them. I mean, this is already, I've noticed this to be occurring. You know, so we need to refresh our memory of what it is about going back to school, the times that change. It's going to start getting dark. It is getting darker earlier, and these children are out there. So, you know, let's try to wear something that's visible, okay, and be able to help protect the safety of them so they come home. And last but not least, totally concur with Councilman Racy on the situation at Carnegie's. It's extremely disheartening. It's frustrating, to say the least, to watch and see what this neighborhood is going through. And I join Councilman Racy in an effort to seeing and finding a way of minimizing, preventing from something more serious to happen there. With that, I will pass it to you, Mayor Rowe.
Thank you. First, I would like to say also to those residents on Carnegie Street, I know it is very, very disheartening for us to sit up here and listen, and then you feel like we are doing nothing. But unfortunately, people break the law, and our police department is called, but they have to uphold the law. And they can't break the law to sometimes solve issues that we residents may feel should be looked at. So, you know, there's protections for people, for everyone, whether they're good, bad, indifferent. You can't just search somebody without a warrant. And I would just like to say that I appreciate what you're going through. I'm not living it, but I can appreciate how difficult it is. And I would certainly hope that, you know, our police department does come to and do the best that they can. And again, they have to follow the law and uphold the law. So I hope that you would take that into consideration and, you know, just God bless you. That's all I can say right now. Thank you. I'm sorry, sir. You had your opportunity. You had your opportunity. I'm sorry. I can talk to you after.
No, I was just asking.
Okay. The other thing is, this weekend I was up north at my cottage, and I had an opportunity to attend a social function, and there I met another professional grant writer, such as our city manager. And in speaking with him, I was telling him some of our issues, and such as with the Veterans Plaza and some of the parks and such. And he said that he has been working with several communities where they actually form a foundation or a 501c3. And the city manager and I have talked about this, that is just for the city of Wayne. So it would be like the City of Wayne Foundation. And that way, we would then be able to apply for different grants that normally would not be given to a city as a city. But you can get them if you are a foundation. So if we could have a foundation that would be designated for the city of Wayne, we could be applying for some grants sometimes that we are not currently eligible for. So that's something I'm going to be looking at a little bit more, and hopefully down the road, we can make this happen so that we can get some of those funds. With that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Support.
It's been moved by Mayor Pro Tem Miller, supported by Councilman Webster. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.